We pop this, we pop Berserk, we pop our Pride effect, we wait till we get to about halfway, and then Enduring Cry to keep our Berserk going longer. We wait for it to run down this time and repop it, and that gives us another Berserk as soon as it comes off cooldown. So we can do that now. We can do the same thing to refresh it here. 2 bosses. Reactivate Pride. Enduring Cry. Berserk. Probably should move. That'd be a good place to place our banner down, I think. Woo! Gotta get like on top of the boss bit better. There we go. Another Berserk. Nice. Pick my banner back up now. Easy. Not even close. G'day folks, Ziggy here. Just wanted to make a quick video to share with you, if you haven't seen it yet, I know it's been covered elsewhere, but to share with you a cool bit of tech that you can use to incorporate Rage or Berserk, or both, with very good uptime potentially, into just about any build. It's most beneficial on attack builds, but Berserk's benefits are still very good for spellcasters. As you can see, the effects of Rage are attack damage, attack speed, and movement speed, so not a lot there for spellcasters apart from a bit of movement speed. You get, I think, 10% movement speed at max Rage. But Berserk, on the other hand, does have some very nice benefits with 30% more movement speed and 19% less damage taken. So that even works on a spellcaster as well, if you want a nice, like, move faster, take less damage buff. But certainly this is much more beneficial for attack builds. The way this tech works is centered around this charm here. Warcries grant Rage per 5 power if you have less than 25 Rage. So whenever you use a Warcry when you're underneath halfway, which is 25, it'll generate power for you or Rage for you based on the amount of power of nearby enemies. Now the tech here is, of course, redblade banner, which makes it so that Warcries have infinite power. This means that it basically counts as having infinite bosses next to you, and you'll cap out whatever benefits you get from a Warcry. So you'll get the maximum effect of whatever Warcry you use with this, and this is used in things like Battle Mage's Cry builds and stuff like that to gain a ton of spell damage conversion and stuff like that. But in this case here, what we're using this for is I'm using it to generate endurance charges with Enduring Cry and maximize Rage instantly. So this is obviously not something you can do in combat. Weapon swapping in combat is not my cup of tea personally. I know some people do it, but this is something you can do before a boss fight or before an ultimatum wave, or like when you first start off the map, or when you're just about to go into a nasty encounter like Pop a Legion or something like that. Very easy to do in that case. Weapon swap, Warcry, max Rage, max endurance charges, weapon swap back, activate your Berserk, go big and go ham. Very nice stuff. So that's the pre-stacking side of things. Normally, this charm will give you a little bit of Rage, maybe like 10 or 20 when you've just got a few monsters around, but if there's any sort of like unique enemies or bosses or a number of rares, particularly in stacked encounters like in Simulacrums and Ultimatum and stuff like that, you can get yourself a lot of Rage that way and actually fill it up instantly, especially if you go for a better roll. So this is the best roll you can get, which is 5 Rage per 5 power. I think it starts at like 2 Rage per 5 power, which is substantially less, but you only need a good roll of this if you're going to use it in combat. So the idea here is I have 2 Enduring Cries. I have one just in my normal setup that I use in combat to give myself an endurance charge every now and then, and a Rage boost while in combat. Like you saw in the clip, I use it to top my Rage up while I'm berserking to keep Berserk going longer, and then to refresh my Rage so that I can Berserk again. And you can see how well that works in that clip in really like tough encounters, and even against like a boss, you still get a pretty nice little hit of Rage for that to keep your Berserk going or to build up towards another Berserk. Of course, other things you can combo this with, for example, on attack builds, you can get the implicit here, which is an X-Arc implicit. Even just the lesser version is 1 Rage on hit every 1.2 seconds. The greater versions of this do it a little bit faster, so allow you to build up and maintain for longer. Definitely not necessary, but allows you to kind of do a little bit more and keep that Berserk going a little bit longer. But the basic thing that's going to be useful for potentially everyone is the redblade blender swap for the maxed out Rage and the Berserk as you start an encounter. And then if you want, incorporate a Warcry into your regular setup as well, just to maintain that as it drops off. Of course, remember that only works around enemies. So cool little bit of tech. Nice benefits. Certainly Rage and Berserk, especially on an attack build, are big buffs to have. And as you've seen in any sort of tougher encounters where it matters, you can have nearly full Berserk uptime, basically just restricted by like the cooldown of Berserk at a certain point. And then in weaker encounters, you probably aren't going to maintain full Berserk uptime, but in weaker encounters, you don't need to. A lot of the time, that first Berserk will be enough to get through any sort of weaker encounters. In terms of pricing, the modifier itself, even with the best rolls, is very cheap, so that means getting it alongside other good mods for your build is generally going to be very affordable. Here's a search that's based around the best mods for my build, and you can see that these Warcry ones, especially even with the good rolls, start at around 1 div, which is very nice for something like minimum endurance and power charges, or 2 max fire res for 1 div, insanely good in my build. So very affordable as well. You can also get this modifier on that which was taken jewels as well, so if you're not a primalist and can't use charms, don't worry, you still have access to this tech. So anyway, I hope that it helps and incorporate it into your build, but that's it for now. I'm Ziggy D, and thanks for watching.